In the shadows of the Ardennes forest, a German battery of heavy 150mm howitzers sits perfectly concealed beneath layers of netting and pine branches. The crew works with the rhythmic precision of veterans who have spent years perfecting the art of the long-distance strike. To these men, artillery is the undisputed king of battle, and they believe they are the masters of the chessboard. Their commander checks his watch, knowing that according to every manual they possess, they are invisible. In the German doctrine of 1944, safety is measured in time, and they believe they have at least 30 minutes before any enemy can hope to find them. They view the Americans as a force of infinite resources but little tactical finesse, a clumsy giant that relies on weight rather than speed. The order to fire echoes through the clearing, and the massive steel breaches slam shut. With a deafening roar, the battery begins to rain steel on an American infantry crossroads miles away. The crew watches the recoil of their guns with professional pride, confident that the ridgeline in front of them is an impenetrable shield against prying eyes. They fire round after round, the air growing thick with the smell of cordite and the heat of the barrels. Between shots, the men joke about the Americans who are likely scrambling for cover, completely unaware that their own positions are being compromised by the very sound of their guns. They do not know that 5 miles away, American sound-ranging teams have already felt the vibration of their muzzle blasts. Invisible microphones hidden in the mud have captured the exact microsecond of the blast, sending electrical pulses back to a central hub. While the German loaders hoist the next heavy shell, American technicians are already sliding rulers across maps and marking an X exactly where the German battery sits. The Germans believe the Americans are still trying to figure out where the shells are landing, but the reality is the Americans are already calculating where the shells are coming from. The crew begins to slowly pack their gear, moving with a relaxed confidence that will prove to be their undoing. The commander prepares to give the order to limber the guns and move to a new location, thinking he is well ahead of the curve. A veteran sergeant suddenly pauses, his head tilted toward the sky, sensing a change in the air. In his years on the Eastern Front, he has learned that an artillery response always begins with a single ranging shot that falls wide and gives you time to run. But the sky above him is silent, and there are no smoke plumes from distant spotter planes. He doesn't realize that the Americans have bypassed the ranging shot entirely, using pure mathematics to skip the warning. The silence is suddenly shattered, not by one shell, but by a synchronized wall of sound. The air begins to rip like silk as dozens of American shells, launched from different locations at different times, all converge on this single point at the exact same moment. The look of professional pride on the commander's face vanishes, replaced by the cold realization that the Americans aren't just fighting a war of machines, they are fighting a war of math, and the Germans have just run out of time.
While the German battery continues its work, we transition behind American lines to a canvas-covered truck humming with activity. Inside, the air is filled with the smell of stale coffee and the frantic scratching of pencils against topographic charts. This is a fire direction center, the high-speed processing hub that turns acoustic data into lethal coordinates. Unlike the German reliance on visual spotting, the Americans have pioneered a system of electronic and acoustic surveillance. We focus on a set of microphones buried in a semicircle miles from the front, silently recording the crack and the thud of the German guns. Each sound is timed to the millisecond, allowing specialists to triangulate the origin of the blast with terrifying accuracy. An American lieutenant points to a map, his finger landing exactly in the hidden clearing where the 150mm guns are firing. He doesn't just call for one battery to respond. He coordinates an entire battalion of different calibers. This is the birth of the time-on-target tactic, a mathematical masterpiece designed to achieve maximum shock. The lieutenant knows that if the shells arrive one by one, the Germans will scatter and survive. To ensure total destruction, he calculates the varying flight times for every gun in the area based on their distance from the target. The guns furthest away are ordered to fire first, while those closer wait several seconds before pulling their lanyards. In the American pits, the artillerymen move with industrial efficiency, treating the war like a high-speed production line. Radios crackle with synchronized time checks, ensuring every watch in the sector is aligned to the same second. The American brain has finished its work, and the fatal X has been drawn on the map. While the German crew is just finishing their second cigarette, the air above the American batteries is already filled with hundreds of tons of flying steel. The math is perfect, the coordinates are locked, and the invisible traps are about to snap shut.
Back in the hidden clearing, the German commander finally gives the order to cease fire and prepare for transport. His men begin to dismantle the camouflage netting, laughing as they discuss the breakfast they hope to find back at the depot. The clock in the German commander's head tells them they are safe, as the standard window for a counterstrike hasn't even begun. But the air around them suddenly begins to vibrate with a low-frequency hum that rapidly builds into a terrifying shriek. The veteran sergeant's eyes go wide as he realizes there was no ranging shot, no single explosion in the distance to warn them. In a single catastrophic heartbeat, the entire clearing erupts into a localized hellscape. 50 shells of 105mm and 155mm high explosives detonate at the exact same millisecond, turning the forest floor into a volcano of dirt and steel. The time-on-target tactic has worked perfectly. There is no time to dive for a trench or crawl under a vehicle. The German guns, once the pride of the Wehrmacht, are tossed into the air like toys, their steel barrels twisted by the sheer force of the blast. Horses and half-tracks are vaporized before the drivers can even reach for the ignition. Those few who survive the initial shock find themselves in a landscape that has been completely rewritten in a matter of seconds. The German commander crawls from the debris, his ears bleeding, looking up at a sky that is still raining shrapnel. He realizes that his maps and manuals are now relics of a bygone era. The Americans haven't just outgunned them, they have outcalculated them, turning the very sound of a weapon into a death sentence. As the smoke clears, the silence returns to the Ardennes, but the German battery is gone, erased from the map by a math-driven predator they never saw coming. This was the new face of war, a world where being heard meant being dead within minutes.